Okay, what up ladies and gents, it's your favorite Asian robot right here, and right now I'm going to record a video and show you guys on Christmas Eve, by the way happy holidays to everybody, I'm going to show y'all how to build an Autogun veteran. Now, when it comes to this particular type of build, what you got to understand is that it is obviously not going to be as top tier as a plasma gun or revolver build. Why? Because this build has a longer TDK, time to kill. The plasma gun one-shots a lot of things, so does the revolver. The Columnus, or the autogun in general, will not do this. You're gonna have to fire more than one bullet to kill most things. So because of that, your TDK is always gonna be higher than, well, practically zero. So that is one limitation of this build that you have to understand. However, for those of you looking for a break from the plasma gun or a break from the revolver, you just want to spam bullets at the enemy, this is a highly effective build. We use it in Auric, Damnation, and Maelstroms. There is in fact a link to the description to the stream where we played this for the whole stream. Now I did do it with friends and they were messing around a lot, so we actually lost a few Maelstroms, but overall it is pretty fun in Maelstroms. Alright, so I'm going to show you how to construct this. Camera vanish first, and let's go into the skill tree. Okay, when it comes to the skill tree, the upper part of the skill tree is going to look pretty much standard, same for all of my builds. You've got your close order drill, which gives you more toughness damage reduction the more allies are near you. Confirm kill, every time you kill an elite or specialist, you're going to replenish 10% toughness, yeah? And of course 20% toughness over 10 seconds. Stamina boost, toughness boost. You've got shredder frag grenades. These are absolutely excellent against maulers, bulwarks, everything except crushers. So you use them when hordes are pressing in around you. You can bleed everyone to death. Range damage boost, all right, right here. Grab catch a breath. Okay, if you're at a distance from a lot of shooters, you'll be able to regenerate toughness continuously as long as no enemies are near you. Survivalist will give you back 1% ammo every time you or an ally kills an elite or specialist enemies. Yeah. Then you've got reload boost here. You've got your toughness damage reduction. Grab demolition stockpile, replenish 1 grenade every 60 seconds. Voice of command, of course. This will replenish your toughness and stagger all enemies within 9 meters. Grab duty and honor. This will give you an extra 50%, 50 over toughness, right? I call it over toughness because it goes over the limit for 15 seconds. This over toughness can prevent 1 pox burster or 1 sniper shot on you and your allies. So this is extremely good. All right. Grab suppression boost here. Then you want to go down the right hand side of the tree. Melee damage boost, duck and dive. All right. You restore stamina whenever you avoid a ranged attack. Stamina regeneration boost, and then grab onslaught. What onslaught does is that every time you hit a single target, you will apply 2.5% brittleness for 5 seconds to the target. Brittleness makes it so that the target takes more damage from everybody's attacks. It's a debuff to the target's armor, basically. And 2.5 times 16 will actually give you a total of, okay, it'll give you a total of, if I'm not wrong, it should be 40%, but let me just do a quick calculation against of that because I'm just unsure. Yeah, it is 40. Okay, phew, my math isn't that bad. All right, so total is 40% brittleness, which means the enemy's armor is shredded by 40%. Everybody does 40% more damage to the target, which is great. Okay, from the middle tree, what you'll want is Born Leader, or, okay, now this is an option. You can go for the Emperor. Okay, for the Emperor means that when you shout, you and your allies will deal more damage, but you do not generate toughness, like you do not help your allies regenerate any of the toughness that you regenerate. Okay, I leave it up to you. When it comes to this, right, whether it's for the Emperor or Born Leader, the choice is based on whether or not you are assisting your team as a means of helping them replenish toughness, or if you are going for more damage. Now, for Auric Maelstroms, I highly recommend going for the Emperor instead. Alright, because damage is so much more important. Even if it's only a 5 seconds boost, this is huge. Alright? It's 1/3 of the duration of a stim anyway. Stims only last for 15 seconds, right? And you have it on demand every 30 seconds. So I really recommend, if you're doing upper level content for the Emperor, lower level content where you need to carry people, Born Leader. Okay, so make your decision there. After that, grab Tactical Awareness. Every time you kill a specialist, you will cool down your combat ability by 6 seconds. Iron Will, of course. 50% reduced toughness damage if you're above 75% toughness. Grab Rending Strikes, 10% rending to all weapons. Rending functions the same as brittleness, but rending is a buff to you. Your weapons will have 10% more armor penetration. All right, works for both melee and your ranged weapons, so have that. Bring it down, 20% more damage to ogrins and monstrosities, so that's important. Grab focus target here. Why? Because it's just a bonus 20% damage that everybody can apply to a marked target. It makes no sense not to have this. All right, if you really want to, you can go for 10% toughness damage reduction, but you really don't need this. Having tested it thoroughly, right, I prefer to go for focus target. There's no reason not to have an extra 20% damage boost. Yeah. On the left-hand side, grab range damage boost, go for determined. You're going to need suppression immunity with this because when you're aiming down the sights, if you don't have suppression immunity, you are going to die horribly. Dead shot is very important because with this, you have boosted damage. When you aim down sights, you can really shred armored targets as long as you've got stamina. All right. Grab fully loaded and then superiority complex. Why don't I take precision strikes? Because you won't always be able to hit the head in a combat situation. Sometimes you'll be shooting the body. All right. And while aiming for the head is a great tactic and great in practice, you generally don't want to be doing this. You generally don't need precision strikes because it's much better to have an always active bonus like dead shot or whatever to really help compensate for your damage rather than precision strikes. But it's up to you. Okay, you can go either way on this one, but determined is a necessity, right? Grab fully loaded and then grab superiority complex, extra base damage versus elite enemies. Now, in place of, if you really want precision strikes, you could go for that. But what I chose instead was focus target because it helps everybody deal more damage to the target. If you really want to, go for precision strikes. Okay, this is where you can swap your point around. All right, and that is it for the entire talent tree of this. The talent tree is designed to maximize the power of your autogun because with this type of talent tree, here's what your autogun can do. Assuming full stamina, you can actually bring down a crusher fairly well just by shooting the head. All right, you can do the same even with no stamina for Deadshot. You can do the same as long as you are on target for most enemies, okay? And if you're crouching down, you still do fairly well with hipfire. What I'll do is that if the target's close enough, I'll just crouch, gather my stamina back, and then just shred them with a little bit of Deadshot. All right, so this is basically how I play when it comes to maulers. You apply a focus target and they're gone. There you go. Plain and simple, easy peasy shredding. So what other equipment are you going to need for this build? What else makes this build work? Okay, let's go through the melee weapon, the ranged weapon, and the curios. Now, for this particular build, right, I'm going to answer you straight up and very honestly. I feel personally that unlike with several of the other builds, there aren't really a lot of options for your melee. Okay, here's what you need. Power Sword is pretty much the choice for this one. Now, on your Power Sword, you probably want Carapace Armored enemies and Maniac enemies. All right, this is just to help you against mutants. For your modifiers, for your stat modifiers, you want to have as much damage, finesse, and mobility as possible. These three are going to be important. Cleave damage and cleave targets aren't necessarily that important. Okay, you're not going to see a lot of variation here. Anything above 65 will do for both. All right, because you're never going to be able to reach the maximum cleaves anyway, and your powered up attack sort of cleaves through everything. So cleave targets is really unimportant. Cleave damage, sort of important, but you can, anything above 65 is good enough. Prioritize damage, finesse, and mobility. All right, this is most important. Now, I know the critical and weak spot multipliers for the Power Sword are kind of bad, but, you know, it doesn't really matter. What you really want mobility for, though, is for your sprint speed and dodge distance, because this thing has a really bad dodge distance. It is a very immobile weapon. So in order to give yourself the best chance of survival, you want your mobility as high as possible. Okay. For your blessings, you're going to need Power Cycler, unfortunately one of the toughest blessings to obtain. This gives you 2 extra energized hits, and Brutal Momentum will allow you to ignore enemy hit mass on a weak spot hit, which is really easy to do with the Mark 6 Power Sword. Okay, so what can you actually do with your Power Sword, and why is it important? The Power Sword, when powered up, is going to let you cleave through hordes just like that. Okay, you're going to be able to swing at their heads, and it's really easy to do so. This is also why I bother with precision strikes, but you don't really need it. you can go with focus target instead. When it comes to the crushers, all right. Oops, sorry. You can use your either your light attacks or let me try and do this properly again. Sorry about that. If you just use a push attack and then a swing, it's pretty much close to a one-shot for most of these guys. All right. Now, the only problem that I have is that sometimes I'm not fast enough, so I end up just stabbing them and stopping. But realistically, if you do it like this, you will get through most enemies. All right. The key is to swing after your push attack, and you will basically kill most enemies with your power sword. Okay. Apologies for my failure on that demonstration, but anyway, that is basically what you want to do with the power sword, and that's why it's so useful, because it's a great anti-armor option, and it's also great for horde clear, as long as you've got your power cycler to cleave through most things. Yeah, there you go. Okay. So that's why we choose the power sword. For your ranged weapon, you are going to use the Columnus Mark V Infantry Autogun. This is your ranged weapon of choice. Make sure you have maniac damage on this. Why? Because attack breakdown wise, you suffer the most. Well, you can go for maniac and flak armor, but since I already have flak armored, I chose maniac for anti-mutant, a lot of the other specialists and whatnot. Flak armor is also really important because this thing has really low flak armor damage. Don't go for carapace armor because that is resolved mostly by your crits, and you don't really want to be shooting your carapace armor targets without dead shot. Okay, so even though you can bring down a crusher, you realistically would be wasting your ammunition doing that. It's much better to just go up with your power sword and stab it in the head. All right, so your focus should be bring up flak armor and maniac armor damage. The rest you're totally okay. Okay, so for your Columnus, in terms of your perks, maniac, flak armor, as I already said, blessings, death spitter, dum dum, because you tend to fight in close range with this quite often, and your close range damage is going to keep increasing and stacking up to 5 times on repeated hit. You fire this gun so rapidly that your dum dum is going to give you a ton of bonuses. All right, death spitter will give you 6% power for 3.5 seconds on a close range kill, and guess what? You're always killing in close range, so you're going to enjoy this quite a bit. All right, these two are your best blessings, and then when it comes to stats, you want to have damage, ammo, stopping power, stability. It's a bit weird, but yes, you need 4 stats on this. Stopping power affects your damage versus all your armored targets. Yeah. Damage affects your unarmored targets, so you want to have both of these as high as possible. Ammo count, very important, because the more ammo that you have, the more that you restore with survivalist, making the weapon more ammo efficient, the higher your ammo stat. Lastly, stability, anything above 70 is good, because this weapon will become unstable if you have a low stability, and it can be a bit difficult to control if your stability is too low. But there is a bit of a trick with this weapon, which I'm going to show you. And of course, mobility is take what you can get, but anything above 60 is good, just in case you have to dodge with the gun out. But I'm going to show you a little trick with this weapon. All right, this weapon, if you fire it like this, burst, you'll see it jerking a lot. Okay, don't do that. What this weapon is best at is if you crouch and you fire it, it becomes a laser after you control the initial recoil. You will just fire in a straight line. All right, watch carefully again. All right, the first shot jerks up, but if you control, it becomes a laser. The recoil stops after the first shot, after the first couple of shots. So the first couple of shots will bounce a little bit and you'll have a bit of spray. But if you control it, right, if you control it with a little bit of jitter, it becomes a nice little laser that you can spam at your enemies. So abuse that. All right, your first initial shots, you can jitter a little bit if you really have to. Okay, I do this sometimes when I really need the accuracy. But basically, after the first few shots, like after the initial shot, it just goes straight into laser mode, and you can apply it that way. All right. So if you really need to ensure that the target needs to be beamed to death, you can do it that way. It's a bit harder to pull off in the field, but you actually see me doing that quite often. Okay, I try to avoid jittering too much, but yeah, basically, that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna center around this point, vibrate a little bit, center around the point, and you're good to go. So abuse this weird behavior of the Columnus. The first few shots, if you fire it like that, you're gonna have very inaccurate fire. I know it's very tempting, but it's better to just fire and hold, even if it costs you a little more ammo, assuming that you are sure of the target's location. Okay, you just control the recoil a little bit on the first one, and then you've got a laser. Okay. That is it for your ranged weapon. Now let's talk about the curios. What curios are you going to need in this build? Now, I tested with 2 stamina curios, but I went with 16 toughness, 20% max health, and 3 stamina. This is considered the psycho loadout, but basically what I went with for my perks as well. I went with Gunners, toughness, regeneration speed, Gunners, toughness, regeneration speed. But here I went with something different. On my stamina curio, I went with stamina regeneration, toughness, and max health. I also went with stamina regeneration as my 3rd perk on the health curio. And then here I happened to get an extra toughness perk, so I threw that in. I don't need combat ability regeneration, so I dumped that. And I just focused on, you want to have at least 2 stamina regeneration perks and at least 10% each. Why? The additional stamina regeneration rate is really good for your dead shot. All right, although you can regenerate by dodging range fire, which you will be doing in the field quite often, it is wiser to also have good fast regeneration, because sometimes if you run out of stamina and you need to push a pox burster, you're going to be in a bad situation if you don't have that regen. It saves you that little half a second that could mean life or death for you. So that is why my curios are set up like that. All right, that brings us to the end of this build. I hope you guys have a great holiday. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoy the build. Play it, enjoy it. We've been using it in Auric Maelstrom, Auric Damnation, no problem right there. But do be aware that it does have a lower win rate than the plasma gun and the revolver. Why? Because it has a higher TDK. That's all. You will have to shoot more than 1 bullet to kill the target. Therefore, meaning that it will always have a lower win rate. Okay? Because the target could duck behind cover while before the 3rd and 4th bullet gets into it, etc., etc. So I think you can understand why having a longer TDK generally means a lower win rate, because the target that should be dead or would be dead in 1 shot from plasma may take a while to kill with the Columnus. All right, thank you very much again, and now let me thank some of the amazing people that have made all of my content possible. Starting with December's top supporters, we've got Michael Washington as our top tipper. Top tippers are Gator Guy, Leo Reinhardt, Cheryl Danville, Nisk, BVS Fang, thank you so much. Top super chatter, Orange Shivs. Top super chatter list consists of Chanel Name, Ganslope, Jonas, Nightshade, 6gun, and top channel membership gifter is Nightshade. Thank you so much for everything you have done. You guys are amazing. And now to our top channel members, we've got Nisk at the only fan level. You are amazing. Thank you so much, bro. We've got Death Dawning 982, Michael Washington, and Arcane Silver at Plus Ultra. You guys are amazeballs. Thank you so much. For our prestige robots, we've got Rapto, Jello-Tello, Akue, Chanel Name, 6gun, Yuri, Rogue Assassin, and Zach MG. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to all of our honored robots as well. Thank you to Calum, Rev Soul, Chris, Uncontrolled, Orange Shivs, Nightshade, Sleepless Night, HD Pork, Matchstick Jim, Gator Guy, Saya, Wild Hunt, Timbo, Simple Spider, Albert, Tuan Nguyen, Donald Smith, Some Dummyhead, Lou Fan, The King, Curry, Link Octavian, Philip, Yuno, BVS Fang, Vikram Bao, Commander Farsight, Atomica, Devin Lashin, Mookie Mocha, Rena, Nathan Strong, Lady Neo, Joey Danze, Syed Assad, Coda CMF, Kami SMH, and Benjamin Savage. Thank you guys. Thank you to all of our cool and weird bots as well. You guys are amazing. And thank you for making my content possible. I will see your beautiful faces on the next one, okay? Y'all don't do anything weird that I wouldn't do, okay? Get you later.